we continue our rolling coverage on the election of the new Speaker of Parliament. The voting process is still currently underway, as you can see the live visuals that are coming to you from Parliament. Now, various opposition parties are all speaking in one voice, opposing her nomination. We heard the EFF earlier on saying that they were not going to be participating in any of this. But for an analysis on the story, we're joined now by political commentator Omry Makgoale. A very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for your time today. Perhaps let's start with the role that Parliament plays and the stature that Parliament holds. We heard Mr. Groenewald there earlier on saying that Parliament is a symbol of integrity. Can you break this down for us? I think you're muted, sir. Could you kindly unmute yourself?
Yes. I was saying that we, as South Africans, we expect Parliament. We expect Parliament to be, where the integrity lies of the country. Supposed to be the representative of South Africa Parliament. And we expect all things that are good, to be from Parliament. But unfortunately, at the moment, things are not like that as yet. So we still have to work on that. But this is our expectations as South Africans. Parliament should represent the epitome of integrity in the country.
And what then is the role of the Speaker of the House?
The Speaker of the House is the third most powerful person in terms of from the President, Deputy President, the Speaker. But the Speaker is responsible for National Assembly normal functioning. And so the Speaker is really integrity of Parliament, how debates are carried out, how legislation is carried out in Parliament. The Speaker is supposed to represent all those. And above all, integrity is expected from the Speaker. Integrity, decency, is expected from the Speaker. So anything short of that, it's unfortunate.
So what then should we look forward to as far as the work of Parliament moving forward is concerned? We are experiencing now levels of contestation against and regarding Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula as a possible new Speaker. Should she get that particular position, how will that impact the work of Parliament moving ahead?
Well, I think she will act as far as how the ANC caucus, influences her to do. But from what we know from her is that she's not the ideal person for that post. She's not the ideal person for that post. So we can only expect that the lack of, robustness in Parliament will continue. Parliament might still support some of the things that in the past they were neutral and they did not question when they were done wrong things when they were done in Parliament. So I don't expect much improvement in Parliament, from what we had in the past. Maybe there might even be a decline of standards, as some people think. I'm not sure about that, but people think that there might be a decline of standards from Thandi Modise to Mapisa-Nqakula, but I'm not sure of that.
We have seen the EFF, for example, say that they are not going to be participating in these elections and in this vote. Are we to expect a pushback from the EFF in Parliament? We have seen speakers really engaged in robust debate with the EFF in the past. Will this be intensified now should Mapisa-Nqakula end up on the seat?
I think we expect EFF to continue with the drama in Parliament, to continue questioning, to continue challenging ANC leaders, to continue challenging even maybe the National Speaker. That is normal for the EFF. They have to get support from the public, and they have to be seen to be a robust opposition party. So they will do that, and it wouldn't surprise us if they do that. And but as to whether it can have any serious impact on or changing the Speaker, I don't think they can change the Speaker issue. because the Speaker issue is a deployment from ANC headquarters. If the ANC headquarters has deployed somebody as a Speaker, the members of Parliament of ANC are supposed to endorse that deployment from headquarters. They are not supposed to question it or argue against it. They are just supposed to endorse it. This is according to our present parliamentary electoral laws. The party headquarters is de facto the law.
Dr. Makgoale,
So
if you could please excuse me for a moment, and if you could kindly wait for us and with us as we go back to Parliament. It looks like they have resumed. So let's go back there for a moment.
Yes.
Similarly, in respect of Dr. Anel Lodrit, MP, she was duly nominated and the nomination was properly signed by her. I am satisfied that both nominations are in order. We shall now proceed with voting. Assistant Returning Officers will now show that the ballot boxes are empty and close them. Assistant ballot, yes, there you go. They are empty and please seal them, close them. Right. Honorable members, the procedure now going forward is as follows. According to the rules for the conduct of this meeting in terms of item 9 of Schedule 3 of the Constitution, one ballot paper with the official mark must be issued to every member present and eligible to vote at this meeting. Members will be called in alphabetical order according to their surnames, starting with the members seated in the National Assembly chamber, followed by those seated in the gallery, and then committee room E249. When their names are called, members must collect a ballot paper from the voting table. After collecting a ballot paper, each member must proceed to one of the ballot booths and must record his or her vote by placing a cross against the name of the candidate for whom he or she desires to vote in the space provided on the ballot paper for recording of a vote. After making the mark on the ballot paper and while still in the booth, members must fold their ballot paper in such a manner that the official mark thereon is visible to the assistant returning officer at the ballot box. After the assistant returning officer has noted the official mark on the ballot paper, members should deposit it in the ballot box and resume their seats in their designated sitting areas. The returning officer will now call upon members to vote.
Abraham Phoebe Nqakula, Aduns Nombuyiselo Gladys, August Sean Nigel, Basson Leonard Jones, Bagman Darren, Bilankulu Nkensani Kate, Boroto Matlala Grace, Breitenbach Glynis, Rink Silias, Butelezi Norbert Swiso.
Can I do that now? Okay.
The voting currently underway for the new Speaker in Parliament. Two candidates have been put forward, one by the ruling party, the African National Congress, that being Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, and the Democratic Alliance has also put forward their candidate, Dr. Annelie Lotriet. And we will be keeping abreast of the developments as they unfold in Parliament. We do have Mr. Omry Makgoale, who is a political commentator, as we go into the details of the ramifications of what this possible election might mean. Ndate Makgoale, thank you very much for staying with us today. One of the conversations that has been had is that there's a lot of controversy around Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, some accusations against her. And the question that was being asked is, could the ANC not have chosen another candidate? Why did the president insist on Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula as the candidate for the Speaker of the House, despite all the allegations and investigations that she is under?
I think we can only maybe suppose, because we are not really sure what the president was thinking, but the main thing we think would be to try and keep the balance of slates and factions inside the ANC, at equilibrium, to try and avoid upsetting the balance of slates and factions inside the ANC. So there are other comrades who could have been used, but for the sake of the slate and the factions in the ANC, probably the president thought that it's better to, not only the president, together with his colleagues in the top six, probably they thought that it's better to keep her there, Nosiviwe, as a speaker, rather to remove her and make an ordinary member of parliament. That would have been a serious demotion, and that could have caused maybe, problems in the factions and the slate inside the ANC.
When we look at Parliament once again, and this is specifically regarding the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, one of the accusations against Parliament as a body is its lack of oversight when it comes to state capture. But what are your thoughts on that? Is this a fair criticism to be meted out against Parliament?
Yes, it's fair. It's a fair criticism. There is lack of oversight, but the key issue there is because Parliament, together with the executive, are actually appointed by the same people. And so basically it means that they are employed by the same office. Parliament and the executive are appointed by the same office, are answerable to the same office. In this case, it's the headquarters of the ANC, the Tuli House. So until we change the parliamentary electoral laws and elect members of parliament directly as citizens, this cannot be changed. It will continue until this law is changed, the parliamentary laws are changed. So basically, you are looking at members of ANC in parliament and the executive reporting to one office, being employed by the same person. So they are all supposed to be loyal to that office because it's the office that employs them. And if they are not loyal to that office, they will lose their jobs. So you must think in terms of a bread and butter issue. No one wants to lose his job and be unemployed. So they are aware that they have to listen to the party headquarters. If you don't, you lose your job. So it's a life and death issue, if you understand, especially you consider now that most people are unemployed. So we must understand it that way.
Mr. Makgoale, the focus on cadre deployment and the focus on factionalism within the African National Congress has once again been on the spotlight. Is this something that is likely to be reflected upon by the governing party, or is it likely to continue as it always has been? Is there enough of a drive for the African National Congress to want to reconsider how cadre deployment is done, considering the amount of attention it is getting from the country, and not very positive attention, if I might say?
We would wish that it should be attended, but I'm afraid under the current ANC internal electoral laws and parliamentary electoral laws, it is not going to be attended at the moment. because basically this cadre deployment is part of meeting the interest of the factions and the slates. You know, those factions and the slates inside the ANC, NEC, and inside Lituli House headquarters, they have to be satisfied, otherwise you'll have friction inside the ANC. So until we change the parliamentary electoral laws, until we change the ANC internal electoral laws, we will have this problem for some time, I'm afraid.
And as far as the accountability of Parliament and the oversight role that it was supposed to play in things like state capture, for example, have there been lessons learned from the Zondo Commission, from the information that has come out, that Parliament is likely to implement? Could we see possible changes in the nature of oversight and the veracity of oversight from Parliament moving forward?
We hope they have learned a lot from the Zondo Commission, but as to whether they are going to follow those lessons is another thing altogether. It's another matter altogether. Because the factions and the slates are still there inside the ANC, and they are still there in Parliament. And so basically, our wish is that they should learn from Zondo Commission. They should change how they run Parliament from as per Zondo Commission's recommendations. But as to whether that will happen, it's another thing altogether. And I doubt if it will happen until we change the parliamentary law. I doubt if that will happen. I expect that it will continue more or less in the same way, because these people are deployed by the party headquarters, and the party headquarters is fractured along slates and factions. So, and those slates and factions are going to manifest themselves continuously in Parliament. So I don't expect much change in terms of how the Parliament is going to be run. But Zondo Commission will put the report there, and as you know, like any law, it's up to those who must follow the law. You can have the best of laws, but if you don't have people to implement that laws, it will remain just a paper somewhere in a file or in a shelf somewhere. It's unfortunate, but that could be the case.
We saw the Democratic Alliance putting forward a candidate of their own, Dr. Annelie Lotriet. What do we know about her, and what chance does she stand?
Look, I don't know much about her, except that she's a candidate from the DA. But I can assure you that she won't win. She will lose because the ANC members of Parliament have been given the instruction to vote for Mapisa-Nqakula, and the ANC is in majority in Parliament. So whether DA presents somebody more credible than Mapisa, it won't work. It's a question of party headquarters of the majority party having decided that all party members in Parliament should vote for Mapisa-Nqakula. So it's not going to help. It's not going to work in any way. It's okay, it's symbolic for the DA to do that, but the candidate can win.
Let's talk about the strategy of the opposition. The EFF decided, as well as COPE, not to be part of the elections. What would be I guess a productive strategy coming out of opposition parties in situations like this? Is it better to be part of the process or to abstain?
I think on my side, I would have thought that they should be part of it and they vote against whoever they don't think is suitable. Vote against, rather than not to participate, because when you don't participate, you are like somebody who did not go to elections and vote. So your position is not known, So it's better to participate and spoil the vote, or participate and vote for whoever you like, in my mind. So I think not participating, maybe for me, I would not say it's the best way. I'd rather vote and spoil the vote than not to vote.
All right. Well, we thank you very much for your insight and your analysis this afternoon, Mr. Omry Makgoale, political analyst. And that in the backdrop of the voting that's currently taking place in Parliament for the next Speaker of the House.